Hello there, and welcome to the show, and today I'm going to be talking about Night 2 of WrestleMania 41. The second night of WrestleMania 41 took place on April 20th, 2025, live from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, had an attendance of anywhere from 60 to 63,000 people. Let's talk about the show. Stephanie McMahon welcomed the crowd to WrestleMania, and our opening match was a triple threat match for the Women's World Championship. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair won the Women's Elimination Chamber to become the number one contender. Rhea and Io had a match on the very next Raw for the Women's Championship, and I had predicted that Rhea would win, and I was wrong. Io Sky beat Rhea Ripley and became the new Women's World Champion, making this a triple threat match. The build to this match focused pretty much on Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, with Io being the third wheel, and I do believe that they are leading to a Rhea versus Bianca one-on-one match at SummerSlam, because that is a mega match for the WWE, and SummerSlam would be the perfect place to have it happen. Io Sky is great, and she wasn't going to be left off of WrestleMania 41, and she got thrown into this match as the Women's Champion, and that's how we ended up here. The story of this match was pretty much Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Io got taken out early, and then Bianca took control over Rhea. Rhea hit a cannonball off the apron on Bianca. Io hit a springboard moonsault on Rhea. Bianca hit 3 suplexes on Io. Bianca caught a Hurricane Rana and rammed Io into the barricade. Rhea hit Razor's Edge on Io onto Bianca. Rhea locked in the Prism Lock on Io. Io hit 3 Meteoras. We got a Tower of Doom spot. Rhea hit a big boot on Bianca. Io hits a springboard dropkick. Bianca hits a spear and 450 on Io. Riptide on Bianca, that got a 2 count. Io countered Riptide into a DDT. Io countered a Riptide from the top rope. Rhea Ripley countered a moonsault. Bianca hit the KOD on Io, and Rhea broke it up at 2. Rhea and Bianca counter finishers. We got the hair whip and KOD on Rhea, and Io from the top hits a moonsault on both Rhea and Bianca, and Io Sky pins Bianca to win this match and retain the Women's World Championship. This was a very good match in my opinion. This was a well-paced back and forth between all 3 women. All of them worked great in this match. This was a very good match, very competitive back and forth, and showcased the importance of the Women's World Championship. I really enjoyed this match. I felt that this was one of the best matches of WrestleMania 41. This was a very good match. Our second match of Night 2 was Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. This was a street fight. Story of this stems from last year's WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre beat Seth Rollins, became the new world champion. CM Punk attacked him. Damian Priest cashed in his Money in the Bank, became the new world champion. They had the match in Scotland and then Money in the Bank. And there was a great promo package highlighting the history between McIntyre and Priest. Damian Priest had a custom entrance. Kerry King of Slayer played him to the ring. Personally, not a big fan of Slayer. Drew McIntyre attacked Priest from behind. McIntyre hit a suplex on the ramp. Priest brought out a table before we even got "We Want Table" chants, so Damian Priest definitely knew what the crowd wanted. Drew took control with some steel step shots, and then he called to his brother from the crowd. His brother gave him a phone, and Drew McIntyre took a selfie mid-match. Drew McIntyre is awesome. Drew hit a dive over the top rope, always impressive. Damian threw a chair at Drew to counter a Claymore, but Drew McIntyre landed the Claymore anyway. It looked like he got more of Damian Priest's shoulder than his head, so that got him a 2 count. Priest hit a chokeslam for a 2. Drew hit a spinebuster. Priest hit Razor's Edge through a table, that got him a 2 count. Future Shock DDT on the steel steps for a 2 by Drew McIntyre. 2 of them trade strikes, which ended with Damian Priest hitting a clothesline. Priest went for old school, and Drew McIntyre shoved him off the top rope, and Damian Priest fell out of the ring through 2 tables. That was awesome. Closing sequence of this match, Drew McIntyre hits a Claymore kick on Damian Priest against a steel chair that was wedged wedged in between the turnbuckles. Drew McIntyre pins Damian Priest. He wins this street fight. This was awesome. I really enjoyed this match. The brutality of this match definitely matched the story, in my opinion. This was a very brutal street fight. The use of weapons was done very well. There were some really brutal spots in this match. Very fun to watch, and I really enjoyed the story. Following WrestleMania, McIntyre and Priest are currently in the United States Championship scene on SmackDown with Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. Interested to see where that goes. I was very impressed with this street fight. This was a very good match, in my opinion. I really enjoyed this match. Fatal 4-way match for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker versus Dominic Mysterio versus Penta versus Finn Balor. Story of this match was the tension between Judgment Day. Dominic wanted to recruit Penta into Judgment Day. Balor was opposed to the idea. Balor challenged Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship, but he wasn't able to get the job done. That is how we ended up getting this Fatal 4-way. I mentioned this in my Royal Rumble review, but the way that Triple H has booked Penta so far is genuinely amazing. The presentation of Penta and how important he feels is great. Triple H has done a great job at presenting Penta. Finn Balor, desperately in need of a new theme song. Whatever he is coming out to is not working. That song is channel-changing garbage. Braun Breaker on the WrestleMania kickoff or whatever it was, he cut a Breaker Math promo, which is always great. The Steiner Math promo is one of the most awesome promos in the history of pro wrestling. Penta tried to form an alliance, but Braun attacked Penta and he told him, hey, we're not friends. Penta hit a dive taking out Dominic and Balor. Braun hit a jumping shoulder tackle on Penta, which was great. Braun hit 2 slams and a spear. Penta, he hit the sacrifice arm breaker on Finn Balor, just as brutal as it was in Lucha Underground. Double German suplex by Braun Breaker, very impressive. Dominic went for the 3 amigos. He hit 2 on Penta. He got an assist on the 3rd one by Balor. Braun hit a double suplex on Balor and Dominic. Breakensteiner on Finn. Dom went for the 619 on Balor. He got caught and Balor made him pay. Penta hit the Penta driver for a 2 count. Crowd was actually chanting for Dominic Mysterio. This was legitimately the most positive reception that Dominic Mysterio has received in his entire WWE run. Dominic Mysterio definitely put in the work to get over with the crowd. Carlito came out. He pulled down the rope to take out Braun Breaker. Mexican Destroyer on Dominic. Carlito made the save. Braun Breaker then speared Carlito through the announce table, which was awesome. That was a great spot, and the new announce tables enhanced the impact. It gave me flashbacks to Edge and Chris Jericho from WrestleMania 26. That's what this reminded me of. Spear on Penta, 619 on Braun Breaker, coup de grace on Braun Breaker, and then frog splash on Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio pins Finn Balor to become the new Intercontinental Champion. This was a great match. This was very fun, very entertaining, nice high-octane, fast-paced offense, exactly how the Intercontinental Championship should be booked. All 4 guys worked incredibly in this match. One of the best matches of WrestleMania weekend, in my opinion. To me, this was the match of the night for night 2. I loved this match. This was great. It was an incredible thing to see. On the Raw after Mania, Balor said it was all good, and JD McDonough returned to the Judgment Day. Judgment Day are seemingly back at full strength, and now they have the Intercontinental Championship. And eventually Dominic is going to get kicked out of Judgment Day, and we're going to get Balor versus Dominic one-on-one for the Intercontinental Championship. I think that match is going to happen at SummerSlam, and I am looking forward to it. This was a very good match, and I'm very interested to see where the storyline goes moving forward. Braun Breaker, of course, has aligned himself with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. That group is doing great, in my opinion. With Penta, I'm interested to see how he's booked. I'm hoping we get the Lucha Brothers reunion because they are a great tag team, and the tag team division on Monday Night Raw desperately needs new teams. All that being said, this was a phenomenal match of the night for night 2, in my opinion. Randy Orton's Open Challenge. This was initially supposed to be Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. However, Kevin Owens had to undergo neck surgery due to injury. I want to wish Kevin Owens all the best and a healthy recovery, and the quality of work he was able to produce while injured is truly incredible. Kevin Owens legitimately is one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, and I want to wish him all the best. Great promo package for this match. There was some speculation going around on who Randy Orton's opponent could be. Rusev, Aleister Black, Nick Aldis. These were my top three choices. To me, Rusev was the one that made the most sense. Nick Aldis was RKO'd twice on SmackDown, and I thought, okay, he'll bring in Rusev as his muscle to take care of the Randy Orton problem. That didn't end up being the case. Wasn't Aleister Black either, although both did return on the Raw after Mania and the SmackDown after Mania, and it's great to see the two of them out of AEW. Randy Orton came out first. He cut a promo. He stated that it's his 20th WrestleMania and he wants to wrestle. The camera went to the stage and say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry, the TNA World Champion, answered the open challenge. He walked to the ring. You could see the emotion in Joe Hendry's eyes. The crowd waved their hands side to side, just like it says in his theme song, and the two of them had a match. Joe Hendry hit a neck breaker. Randy did an eye poke as Joe went for the standing ovation. That was pretty funny. Randy Orton does his comeback and hits the draping DDT. RKO countered into a fallaway slam by Hendry. Joe Hendry, he did his turn and the crowd went wild, and then he ate an RKO, one of the best RKOs in recent memory. Randy Orton beats Joe Hendry. This match clocked in at around 3 minutes. Post-match, there was a show of respect. Orton shook Joe Hendry's hand and then dropped him with another RKO because Randy Orton is Randy Orton. And then Randy Orton did the Joe Hendry turn, and that got a great reaction from the WrestleMania crowd. This was awesome. The match itself, even though it went about 3 minutes, was still very good for a 3-minute match. This was very entertaining. I enjoyed every minute of this, and this was awesome. Joe Hendry is currently in NXT, and it looks like they're setting up a match with Trick Williams. Trick Williams did make an appearance at TNA's Rebellion event. Randy Orton, we'll talk more about Randy Orton when we get to the main event. So up until this point in the card, the second night of WrestleMania 41 was honestly great. The 4 matches that opened the show were very good, very entertaining. This was legitimately a phenomenal night, the opposite of night 1. And then we got to our next match and the card went downhill from here. Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. Story of this match was the Royal Rumble. Logan Paul eliminated AJ Styles, and they've been building up a story on Raw. Karrion Kross was introduced into the storyline. I wasn't really invested in the story. The most interesting element of this match was Karrion Kross, in my opinion. On my night 1 review, I mentioned that Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair went about 5 minutes too long. This match definitely went too long. This match clocked in at about 20 minutes. This went way longer than it should have. This was pretty dull. As a professional wrestler, Logan Paul has produced some very good matches. I know how great AJ Styles is, but this was pretty boring in my opinion. This was nowhere near the quality that I was expecting. I thought this legitimately could be a show stealer, but it is, in my opinion, one of the weakest matches of WrestleMania. Styles hit a sliding knee. Logan Paul threw Styles into the ring post. Logan Paul hit a springboard crossbody. Logan Paul taunted AJ Styles with a drone. AJ Styles hit a suplex for a 2 count. Logan Paul hit the You Can't Escape. He hit a great moonsault. Logan Paul hit a buckshot lariat for a 2 count. Logan Paul countered a springboard 450. Logan Paul hit a Styles Clash. AJ rolled through and hit a Styles Clash of his own. One of Logan Paul's friends came over the barricade and he was about to hand Logan the brass knuckles, but then Karrion Kross came out and stopped him. He grabbed the brass knuckles. AJ Styles left the ring. He threw Logan Paul's friend onto the floor. Kross offered him the brass knuckles. He pleaded. He begged AJ to use the brass knuckles, but AJ didn't. He took a shot at Karrion Kross, went back into the ring, and Logan Paul hit him with the right hand and a Paul pulverizer, and Logan Paul defeats AJ Styles at WrestleMania. I was not impressed with this match. I was honestly expecting a lot more from this match. This was pretty dull, in my opinion. Karrion Kross was the most important element of this match. Kross has continued the storyline with AJ following Mania, and I am interested to see where that goes. Logan Paul versus AJ Styles, I was not impressed. To me, this was one of the weaker matches of WrestleMania and was the point where the show started to go downhill on night 2. Judgment Day, represented by Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Lyra Valkyria and a mystery partner. Lyra Valkyria and Bayley won a gauntlet match to earn this opportunity for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Bayley was attacked backstage. Bayley isn't legitimately injured. This is just a storyline. So Judgment Day came out first, Lyra came out next, and you could see the emotion in her eyes being at WrestleMania. And I saw this coming because there was only one person that could be the mystery partner, and it was indeed Becky Lynch making her return to WWE after nearly a year. And there is story here. Liv Morgan was the last person that Becky Lynch faced before going on hiatus. Lyra Valkyria is the Women's Intercontinental Champion, a championship that honestly has zero value in my opinion. Liv immediately tagged in Raquel to start the match. She did not want to face Becky. Becky and Lyra worked together to take down Raquel. Lyra tagged in Becky, who went after Liv. Becky had the disarm her locked in, but Raquel made the save. Morgan hit Oblivion on Becky. Lyra made the save. Lyra hit a tornado DDT. Liv hit a baseball slide on Lyra, and Becky hits the manhandle slam for the win. Lyra and Becky become the Women's Tag Team Champions at WrestleMania. Lyra Valkyria, double champion. On the Raw that followed Mania, we got a rematch, and Lyra and Becky lost the Tag Team Championships back to Liv and Raquel, so I guess this was just to get a feel-good moment at WrestleMania. It was reported that this was Becky Lynch's idea. She pitched winning the championships, losing them the next night, and then turning heel. Personally, I would have just had the heel turn happen at WrestleMania and have Liv and Raquel just retain at WrestleMania. I think turning heel at Mania would have been much more impactful. We are getting Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at Backlash. I think Becky is going to win, and she's going to become the new Women's Intercontinental Champion, and I think it's going to be revealed that she's the one who attacked Bayley backstage, and that's going to be the Women's Intercontinental Championship program going into the summer. This match just existed on the card. It was a match that occupied some time on the show, didn't go longer than it should have. This clocked in, I believe, at around 9 minutes. For what this was, this served its purpose. Our main event, one of the most anticipated WrestleMania main events of all time, and the most anticipated match on this show. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. John Cena turned heel at Elimination Chamber in what was a great moment and one of the greatest heel turns of all time. And the promos that he's cut have been phenomenal, especially when WWE was touring Europe and they were doing those shows, and Cena's promo in London that he cut against Cody Rhodes was one of his best promos of all time, in my opinion. The crowd was definitely pro John Cena. They were more pro Cena than pro Cody. John Cena came out first, and I was thinking, oh, it's his last WrestleMania. What's his entrance gonna be? I initially had an idea where he redoes his entrance from WrestleMania 25 with every t-shirt that he's ever had, but he just came out, the arena was blacked out, the stage was blacked out, and it was just his name, John Cena, in the most basic font ever. He slowly walked to the ring, very stoic, very businesslike. Cody Rhodes, he had a couple of dirt bike riders revving their engines on the stage, and he came out wearing a skull mask. And I will say, the skull mask that he was wearing for WrestleMania 41 looked a lot better than the one he wore last year. The skull mask he had last year looked very plasticky or styrofoam. The mask he had this year very much felt like Iron Man's helmet with the retractable faceplate. WWE, I guess, listened to to the criticism and got him a proper mask. Cody Rhodes makes his entrance, great entrance. This was my most anticipated WrestleMania main event since WrestleMania 30. I was excited for this match. I watched every promo leading to this match. I was very excited for this. And it pains me to say this, but to me, this was the worst match of WrestleMania 41. This was so boring. I get that Cena has Hollywood commitments and he's working a limited schedule and he can't afford to get injured or take many high-risk moves, but Cena wrestled this match legitimately like he was straight out of 2006. This was boring. This was so boring. Now, one of the things that I kept hearing on why this match was boring was that it was intentionally boring, because one of Cena's catchphrases or one of his lines leading into this match was, "I am going to ruin wrestling for everyone." The argument is that he intentionally had a bad match. So if that's your argument, you're still acknowledging that this match was bad. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. Cody Rhodes was booed during the ring introductions. John Cena was pretty much the favorite. And much like the Gunther and Jey Uso match, this match started off with a collar and elbow tie-up. Why? These two should have been throwing punches out of the gate. Why did this match, of all matches, start with a collar and elbow tie-up? Cody took Cena down in the early going of this match. Cody hit a suicide dive. Cena hits a side slam that got him a 2 count. Cena hit a tornado DDT, probably the most impressive thing he hit all match. Cena went for his signature comeback spot, but he did this so slowly. He hit one shoulder tackle, and then he paused. And then he hit the second one, and then he paused. And then he went for the back suplex, and then he paused. This was so slow. This match felt like it was stuck in first gear for the entirety of its run. Rhodes countered the "you can't see me" with the eye poke. He hit a scoop slam and a disaster kick. Cody cutter for a 2 count. Cena countered the bionic elbow, hit an AA for a 2. Cena went for the "you can't see me," but he walked as if he was walking in quicksand while he hit it, and he hit it anyway. Cena hits a super AA that got him a 2 count. Cody caught a leg drop into a powerbomb, gave me flashbacks to SummerSlam 2008 against Batista. Cody cutter again for a 2 count. Cena locks in the STF. We get a ref bump. Crossroads, but no one's there to make the count. Cena removed the turnbuckle padding. Cody was rammed into the steel twice. AA for a 2 by Cena. The one thing everyone was hoping for, The Rock. And did The Rock make an appearance? No. Instead, we get Travis Scott coming out to that awful song, and he walks very slowly to the ring. It looked legitimately like he was walking in quicksand. He took his time as if he was The Undertaker. So after Travis Scott finally makes his way to ringside, Cody took down Cena. He dared Scott to get into the ring. He did. Travis Scott got hit with a crossroads. After what Travis Scott did to Cody Rhodes, legitimately giving him a black eye. One crossroads is it? Way to make your champion look weak. Cody Rhodes hits one crossroads on Travis Scott. And then, what may be the dumbest closing sequence to a match for a WrestleMania main event. So, after Cody takes care of Travis Scott, I was like, okay, Dwayne Johnson, let his music hit the PA system, but it doesn't happen. John Cena is in the ring. He tries to hit Cody with the WWE Championship belt. Cody blocks. He takes the belt away from Cena, and he hesitates. And John Cena hits a low blow on Cody Rhodes and hits Cody with the belt. Cody Rhodes looked like the biggest idiot on the entire planet because of this. After everything that John Cena has said to him, and after what Cena, Rock, and Scott did to him at Elimination Chamber, Cody Rhodes hesitates? He hesitates? I get that Cody Rhodes is supposed to be the hero, but he is still a human being. Human beings show anger, and Cody Rhodes, the character, is justifiable in hitting Cena with the championship belt. Cody Rhodes looked like the biggest idiot on the face of the planet because of this. And I was like, okay, he'll probably kick out at 2 and they're gonna wrestle for a little bit. The match at this point was at like the 22-minute mark, but the ref, he came back into the ring and that was it. 1, 2, 3. I couldn't believe it. The crowd couldn't believe it. So just to recap here, Cody Rhodes hesitates to hit Cena. Cena hits him with a low blow, a shot with the championship, and that was it. I legitimately could not believe what I was seeing. This was one of the worst finishes to a WrestleMania main event event I have ever seen in my entire life. John Cena is celebrating with Travis Scott, and WrestleMania goes off the air with Cena and Travis Scott in the ring. No Rock, no Randy Orton, no Stone Cold Steve Austin, nothing. That's it. This was one of my most anticipated wrestling matches of all time, and this legitimately is one of the worst WrestleMania main events I have ever seen. I've been watching wrestling since 2010. This was one of the worst main events I have seen in the last 15 years. This was terrible. The match legitimately felt like it was stuck in first gear. It was so boring. This was awful. This was terrible. Cody Rhodes looked like an idiot. I still have no idea how Travis Scott ties into the storyline. Cena winning 100% was the right call. He had to win. But the way it happened was complete and utter garbage. I talked about the pacing of this match. This match also wasn't very dynamic. This was the most basic of all basic wrestling matches. Rock not being there is another thing. If there was one time that The Rock had to be on screen, it was night 2 of WrestleMania 41. He had to be here. No excuse for him not to be there. After this, I legitimately have no interest in seeing The Rock on screen anymore. Go film your movies, bro. Clearly this isn't important to you. Another thing that happened here is that WWE rewrote their history books. So when Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns last year, he was recognized as the undisputed WWE champion. Even though it was one belt, WWE recognized the lineage of the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship. One belt with 2 lineages. When Cena won, he was recognized as a 17-time world champion. So Cody Rhodes in the history books would default go down as the last Universal Champion. However, WWE rewrote their history books and they now recognize that the Universal Championship was retired at WrestleMania 40 and they recognize Roman Reigns as the last Universal Champion, and Cody Rhodes, even though he was recognized as the Universal Champion for 378 days, is now no longer recognized as the Universal Champion and is now just a one-time world champion, where for his entire reign, WWE recognized him as a 2-time world champion. So great job at insulting the intelligence of your audience there. I was looking forward to this match for months. Ever since Cena announced that he will be entering the Elimination Chamber, I knew right then and there we were gonna get Cena versus Cody. This was awful. No question. Worst match of WrestleMania 41. This was just a terrible match. And that was WrestleMania 41. Overall, it is such a tale of two cities for both nights. The first half of night 1 was not good, second half was great. First half of night 2 was great, second half of night 2 was not good. WrestleMania 41, no question, the worst WrestleMania under the Triple H era. However, as an overall show, night 2 on its own started great, ended horribly. So as an overall, it kind of balances itself out the same way that happened with night 1. The 2 nights together, every good thing is balanced out by an equally bad thing. This was an overall fine WrestleMania. Maybe I was just overexcited for WrestleMania given how great the build to a couple of the matches were. The main event of the show really brought it down in my opinion. On the Raw after Mania, Cena cut a promo and he was hit by an RKO. We're getting Randy Orton versus John Cena right out of the gate. First feud in Cena's final World Championship run. The promo we got on SmackDown was excellent in my opinion, and I am very excited for the match at Backlash. Cody, he's been off of TV for the past week. When he comes back, he might turn heel. We might finally get Homelander Cody. We'll just have to see. Overall, WrestleMania 41, over the course of the 2 nights, had some great matches, had some terrible matches, one great main event, one horrible main event. One night started great, ended horribly. Another night started horribly, ended great. But as an overall, everything kind of balanced itself out to give us a fine WrestleMania, but no question the worst WrestleMania under Triple H. Those are my thoughts on WrestleMania 41 Night 2. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you thought of WrestleMania 41. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram at Said_2000, and I will see you on the next video. Till then, take care.